Hi everyone, today we are going to learn about the simple past. So the objectives, by the end of this lesson, you will be able to use the simple past to talk about actions that started and finished at a specific time in the past, and also know the form of the regular and irregular past verbs. So let's start. Okay, so before we deal with the simple past, we will first read the text and answer the comprehension question that follows. So, my name is Karim. Last summer I went to Media Beach with my cousin. We played football in the sun. Some other boys joined us and we made two teams. Unfortunately, my team lost the match. Did you expect that? Yet, we had a lot of fun. After that, my cousin asked me to go swimming. I didn't like the idea at the beginning. I was afraid. But with his encouragement, I jumped into the water and my fear simply disappeared. It was a wonderful experience. Yesterday, my cousin called again to arrange a trip to the mountains. I can't wait to go. Now, let's move now to comprehension questions. First one, where did Karim go last summer? And the second one, did Karim like the idea of swimming at the beginning? Okay, take a few seconds, then we will answer these two comprehension questions. Okay, so the answer for the first question is Karim went to Mehdiya Beach. And the answer to comprehension question number 2 is no, he didn't. He was afraid. Now, in the text, find verbs in the past simple and write them in the boxes below. So you read again the text and try to find verbs in the past and place them in the boxes below. So the first two verbs are already done. We have went and we have played. What you need to do now is add other verbs that you may find in the text. Okay, take a few seconds and then we move to correction. Okay, so the third verb is joined. Okay, we have some other boys joined us. The next one we have made. We made two teams. And another one we have lost. My team lost the match. We have also did. Did you expect that? We have had. We had a lot of fun. And we also have asked. My cousin asks me to go swimming. We have didn't. I didn't like the idea. We have was. I was afraid. We have jumped. I jumped into the water. And we have disappeared and my fear simply disappeared. We have also was, and as we saw before, it was a wonderful experience. And the last one we have called. My cousin called again to arrange a trip to the mountain. So these are the verbs that we have in the text that refer back to the past. Now, these are the verbs, in red color. Now, circle the tense adverbs that refer to the past and write them in the boxes below. Add more that you know. So here we have again the text. Read the text again and now circle the past time expressions and place them here in this box. So we have the first one is last summer. So last summer refers back to the past. So when we encounter such an expression in a text, we understand that the text is about the past. So we have again yesterday. So yesterday is also a past time expression. When we encounter this expression, we know that the text talks about the past. Okay, now add other expressions that you may know. I will give you a few seconds, then we will share together the expressions about the past time. Okay, we have 2 days ago is another expression that you can use to talk about a past action or event. We have in the past, we can say in the past. We can say this morning, for example, you are in the evening, probably you are eating your lunch and you want to talk about what happened this morning. So this morning is can be dealt with, in the past. And we have in 2010, now we are in 2020. If you say in 2010, immediately you mean the past. Now, past time adverbs. Now, for example, when we say last, we can use different time expressions with last. We can say last week, last month, last January, last Christmas, last summer, last year, last night, and last Monday, for example. We can also say yesterday, and we can say, if we want to be more specific, we can say yesterday morning, yesterday afternoon, or yesterday evening. Ago, we can also use ago. We can say an hour ago, 3 days ago, 6 months ago, 10 years ago, many years ago, and long time ago. So these are the 3 main expressions that are used to refer back to the past. Now, I want you to put the verbs that you have in the box above in the right column. So we have the 2 first ones are already done. We have went and we have played. So we have, for regular verbs, we have played, and for irregular verbs, we have went. Now, what you need to do is that you need to put the other verbs in the right place. Take a few seconds, then we will correct again. Okay, now, we have the first one, we have joined. So the verb is join. We have joined. Now, made is an irregular verb, which is make in the present. Lost is an irregular verb as well. Disappeared is a regular verb. Asked is also a regular verb. Had is an irregular verb. Jumped is a regular verb. Was is an irregular verb. Did is an irregular verb. And called is a regular verb. Now, as you can see, as you can notice, we have all the verbs in the regular verbs column have an ed at the end. So how do we know, how do we distinguish from regular verbs from irregular verbs? That regular verbs, we add ed to the verb. So we have play, played, join, joined. We always add ed. But for irregular verbs, it's very hard to say how, because in the irregular verbs, the form of the verb changes from one verb to another. So that's why you need to learn them by heart. That's the only way you can remember the irregular verbs. Now, let's move now to uses of the simple past. Now, let's study the following example. Last summer, I went to Media Beach with my cousin. And the other example, yesterday my cousin called again to arrange a trip to the mountains. Now, we have 2 expressions that tells us that these sentences are about the past, which is last summer and yesterday. Now, we use the simple past to refer back to an action that has started and finished in the past. So we talk about last summer, I went to Media Beach with my cousin. So it was last summer. So the action started and finished in the past. Yesterday, my cousin called again. So he called yesterday. So the action started and finished in the past. So to talk about an action that started and finished at a specific time in the past. So that's the main use of the simple past. Now let's talk about the form of the regular verbs. So talk about the affirmative. Let's start with the affirmative. Study the following examples from the text. We played football in the sand. Some other boys joined us. So here we have we, which is the subject, and we have play, which is the verb, and we have ed, which is the regular form of the past, played. Then we have football in the sand. And the other example, we have some other boys joined us. So the subject is some other boys, and the verb is joined us. So we have subject plus verb plus ed. So that's how we form the affirmative of the regular verb in the past. So regular verbs make their past tense by adding ed. Now, let's talk now about the negative. Study the following example again. I didn't or did not like the idea at the beginning. So I is the subject, didn't is the verb, and like, or we can say the auxiliary verb, and like is the verb. So here we have subject plus didn't or did not plus infinitive without to. So if you pay attention here, the verb doesn't take the ed in this sentence, in the negative. So we leave it as it is in the infinitive without to. So I didn't like the idea at the beginning. So here we are using the auxiliary verb to do in the past to form the past form of this sentence. Now, the interrogative. Study the following example. Did you expect that? So here we have did, we have the subject you, and we have the verb expect. So in the interrogative, we start with the auxiliary verb in the past did, then we add subject, then infinitive without to. So as I said before in the negative, the verb does not take the ed of the simple past. It just stay in the infinitive without to, because the auxiliary verb to do is already conjugated in the past. Now, regular verbs. So this table will just like summarize what we have said. So in the affirmative, I say I asked. The question, did I ask? And the negative, I didn't ask. He, she called. Did he, she call? So we don't say did he, she called. Okay? We just say did he, she call. He, she didn't call. Not he, she didn't call. Okay? He, she didn't call. We played. Did you play? I didn't play. Now let's move to the form of the irregular verbs. We start with the affirmative. So we had a lot of fun. So the verb here is an irregular verb. So we say we had a lot of fun. And the second example, my team lost the match. So we have here the subject plus the irregular verb form. As I said, there is no rule for you to help you decide how you will conjugate the irregular verb. So verbs are irregular. They don't have a certain rule to understand or to learn. So what you need to do is to memorize the irregular verbs. And there is a list of the most common irregular verbs used at the end of this presentation. So as you can see, we cannot predict the simple past forms of these verbs. They are irregular. You should learn them by heart. Now let's move to the negative. I didn't eat my dinner yesterday. Now again, we are using an auxiliary verb, didn't. And we have the verb eat. So the verb eat is not conjugated because we have already conjugated the verb to do in the past. So we have subject plus didn't or did not plus infinitive without to. Now, question. Did you go to school yesterday? So it's like we have seen before. Did you go? So we start with did plus subject plus verb and the infinitive without to. So did plus subject plus infinitive without to. Now, irregular verbs. Alex. Sonia.
تنسين اشي فقره باش تكمل باش ما تعاودش.
الله يخليك.
ستينك او خليه عندك. الا بغيتي تمسح دابا ماشي مشكل. صافي هذا كامل دابا. ساتورن.
Now, this is a table again that summarizes the irregular verbs forms. So affirmative, we say I saw. So in the question, we don't say did I saw, we say did I see. And in the negative, I didn't see, not I didn't saw. He, she ate, did he, she eat? He, she didn't eat. We met, did we meet? We didn't meet. Okay? Now let's move to the spelling rules. There are some irregularities when we talk about spelling. So for verbs ending in E, we add only D. Okay, for example, we have close, we say closed. We don't have to add another E. We add just D. Leave, leaved. Now, for verbs ending with a vowel plus Y, we add ED. Play, played. Stay, stayed. But for verbs ending in a consonant plus Y, we add IED. So we remove the Y and we replace it by I, and then we add ED to the form of the verb. So we have study, it turns to studied. Try, tried. So as you can see, we remove the Y and replace it with I. Now, let's move now to exercises. So in this exercise, you need to match the verbs with their positive or negative past simple form. So for example, we have go, goes with went. Talk goes with talked. So take few seconds and do the other exercise, okay, the other verbs. Okay, so for do, we have didn't do. For like, we have didn't like. For give, we have gave. For visit, we have visited. For drink, we have didn't drink. And for walk, we have didn't walk. Now let's move to the next practice. Choose the correct answer. Now read the sentences and underline the correct one. So we have three options. Choose only one option that is correct. Take few seconds and then we will correct. All right. Okay. Now, read the sentences and underline the correct one. For example, for sentence number 1, the correct option is B. I went to the park yesterday. We cannot say I wented because here the verb is irregular. We don't add ed to the verb. And we cannot also say I goed because also the verb here is irregular. Now, for number 2, we have the correct option is C. Last night I played with my little sister. We don't say last night I did play or last night I didn't play. As we said, we cannot conjugate the two verbs. We only conjugate the auxiliary verb, which is didn't. So the correct one, I didn't play, if we want to correct it. Now, number 3, the correct option is B. We didn't eat all the cake yesterday. We don't say we didn't eat. We say we didn't eat. And we cannot say we not eat. It's clear that this one is not correct. So the correct option is B. Number 4, my parents watched me play in a tennis match at the weekend. So watch is the correct answer. My parents did watch me is not correct, and my parents didn't watch me is not correct as well. Now let's move to practice 3. So here find the mistake. So in these 6 sentences there is a mistake that you need to find. First you underline it, then you write the correct sentence. So take a few seconds, then we move to the correction. Okay. So for the first one, it's visit. We say visited. Number 2, didn't do, not did. Number 3, we have didn't want, not didn't wanted. Number 4, we have drank, not drink it. And number 5, we have didn't go, not didn't went. And the last one, the correct answer is have, not had. Now let's move to practice 5. So here we have yes/no questions with short answers. So before we do the practice, I would just like explain to you when do we use and how do we use yes/no questions. So a yes/no question is a question that has a yes or no answer. For example, I passed the test. If I want to form the question, we say, did you pass the test? So we use verb to do in the past as an auxiliary verb, plus subject, plus infinitive without to. So here we have, did you pass the test? The answer, if it is positive, we say, yes, I did. And if it is negative, we say, no, I didn't. Now let's move to practice. So you need to fill in the blanks below to complete the sentences. The first one is done for you. They went to a restaurant last night. So the question is, did they go to a restaurant yesterday? The answer, yes, they did. Or, no, they didn't. Now take a few seconds and do the other questions. Okay, now let's move to answers. So the first one we have, did it rain yesterday? Yes, it did. No, it didn't. Did the students arrive for the test? Yes, they did. No, they didn't. Number 4, we have, did they study all the day for the exam? Yes, they did, or no, they didn't. Did the children enjoy the movie? Yes, they did, or no, they didn't. And last one, did the woman cross the street? Yes, she did, or no, she didn't. Now, practice 4, fill in the blanks. Now we need to fill in the blanks with the correct answer. So we have here verb between brackets that you need to conjugate in the right form. So take a few seconds, then we will correct together. Okay. So answers to number 1. Yesterday I went to the park. So go becomes went. My parents visited us last weekend. Last weekend, I wrote an email to my friend. My brother didn't play any computer games. So here we have negative. Number 5, we have we ate cereal and drank juice for breakfast. Number 6, we have I didn't watch my favorite TV program yesterday. Number 7, we have my friend gave me a new pencil case for my birthday. And last one, we have yesterday I walked to school. I didn't go by car. Now, practice 5 picture story. We have described what Mike did yesterday. So in this picture, so you have a picture and you have certain verbs that you need to use to describe what Mike did yesterday. We have used the following verbs in the box in the past form. So we have rain, play, go 2 times, and we have wear, have, leave, and have. So the first one is done. The alarm rang at 6 o'clock. Now take a few seconds again and think of the picture and use the right verbs and form a sentence. Okay, so we have the first one. He wore his shirt. He had his breakfast. He went to the office. He left the office at 5 o'clock. He played basketball. He had dinner. And the last one, he went to sleep. Now, this is a list of the most used irregular verbs that you need to memorize. And here is the second one. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.